This is a community of 60 people living in 9 chung.
When it snows, the grass dies. There's no longer anything to eat.
The Arctic is a land of extremes, deadly cold, endless darkness, and brutal isolation. Yet, for centuries, its indigenous tribes have defied nature, thriving in conditions that should be unlivable. Scattered across Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Scandinavia, and Russia, these circumpolar peoples have developed extraordinary traditions. From hunting in total darkness to building homes from ice, their way of life is astonishing. However, some tribes stand above the rest. Yupik. What if the world around you wasn't just made of land and sea, but of spirits? For the Yupik people, this isn't a fantasy. It's their way of life. They believe everything in nature has a soul, from towering mountains to tiny fish. They're shamans, powerful spiritual guides, can heal the sick, communicate with unseen forces, and even bring misfortune to those who upset the balance. At the heart of their beliefs is Elam Yua, the spirit of the universe, the unseen force that created all life. This deep respect for nature shapes everything, their traditions, their survival, and even their art. However, their culture isn't just spoken. It's carved, danced, and passed down through generations. The Yupik transform wood and ivory into breathtaking masks and sculptures. The fascinating part about this is that each of these pieces tells a unique story. Along with them, their hypnotic dances, performed at potlatch ceremonies, are also a way to honor the past and connect with the spirits. Now, surviving in the Arctic takes more than luck. It takes skill, knowledge, and incredible resilience. When it comes to that, the Yupik have mastered the land and sea, hunting seals, walrus, and caribou with harpoons, spears, and kayaks. To withstand brutal winters, they built kashim, underground communal houses, and ina, warm shelters lined with animal skins. Now, where the Yupik find wisdom in the spirits of land and sea, there's another tribe that reads the language of ice and snow. Nenets. The Nenets are remarkable people who have mastered the art of surviving in one of the harshest environments on Earth, the Siberian tundra. For centuries, they've lived alongside their reindeer, developing a deep knowledge of the snow, ice, and permafrost around them. For this tribe, surviving has been engraved deep into their survival. Now, given the climate they have to live in, one of the Nenets' unique skills is their ability to read the snow. With a vocabulary rich in terms of different types of snow, they can predict the weather, find the best grazing spots for their reindeer, and determine when it's safe to travel. In a world where climate change is rapidly altering their environment, this knowledge has never been more critical. Changing weather patterns and melting ice are disrupting their migration routes and grazing lands, putting their way of life at risk. At the same time, the Nenets live in chums, traditional cone-shaped tents made from reindeer hides. These tents are built to withstand temperatures that can drop to a bone-chilling -50 degrees Celsius. However, there's more to the chum than just a shelter. The hides provide insulation, keeping the warmth in and the cold out. They're also easy to set up and take down, which is crucial as the Nenets move with their herds for seasonal migrations. It's also important to know that, in Nenets society, family is everything. They organize themselves into clans and pass down lineage through the father. Each clan has its own territory and customs, and elders hold a special place in guiding decisions. However, it's the Tadibya, the shamans, who truly hold the community together. As spiritual leaders, they maintain a delicate balance between humans and nature, ensuring that the Nenets remain connected to the land that sustains them. As more and more years have passed by, though, the Nenets' lifestyle is under threat. Industrial projects like the Yamal Mega Project have pushed into their lands, disrupting migration routes and introducing pollution. This encroachment on their pastures could spell the end of the Nenets' traditional way of life. Their free movement across the land is no longer a given, and the very environment they've lived in for centuries is being altered in ways they can't control. It's clear survival takes many forms. While the Nenets battled the brutal cold of Siberia, another tribe fought against forces far more devastating than nature itself. Aleuts. The term Aleut first surfaced in the 18th century, coined by Russian fur traders to describe two distinct peoples, the Unangaks of the Aleutian Islands and the Sugpiaq of Koryak Island. While they shared a similar environment, their cultures and languages were unique. However, when Russian colonizers arrived in 1741, everything changed for the Aleut people. What started as trade soon turned into something far more destructive. The promise of commerce quickly morphed into exploitation. Fur traders, eager for profit, overhunted sea otters and seals, ravaging the very ecosystems the Aleut relied on. Disease spread like wildfire, and warfare followed in the wake of colonization. The result was that the Aleut people were practically gone. From a vibrant community of about 25,000, the population plummeted to just 2,000 by the late 19th century. The question is, how could an entire culture withstand such a devastating blow? The Aleut language, Unangam Tunu, once spoken by thousands, now faces near extinction, with only 109 fluent speakers remaining. The erosion of their language is a direct consequence of centuries of cultural disruption, a blow to their identity that's still felt today. However, in the face of such adversity, the Aleut are fighting back. Efforts to revive their language and their practices are underway, with a focus on passing it down to future generations. So, what practices are these? Well, the Aleut people have always had a profound connection to the natural world, steeped in animism and shamanistic practices. They saw the spirits in the sea, the wind, the land. However, when Russian Orthodox missionaries arrived, that sacred belief collided with a new religion. Christianity spread through the Aleut community, and while many converted, their old ways didn't disappear. They merged with the new. For generations, Aleut men were expert hunters. They braved the harsh seas in baidarkas, their skin-covered kayaks, to hunt marine mammals like seals, sea otters, whales, and walruses. Meanwhile, Aleut women gathered fish, birds, shellfish, and wild plants, like berries, to nourish their people. This way of life wasn't just practical, it was the heartbeat of their community. The shared effort brought them together, forging bonds through their reliance on the land and sea. Then, of course, the Aleut people faced something no one could have predicted: World War II. In a shocking twist, the United States government forcibly relocated them to internment camps with appalling living conditions. Families were torn apart, and their way of life was shattered. The pain of this injustice wasn't acknowledged until decades later. It wasn't until 1988 when the Aleut Restitution Act was passed, offering compensation. But could it ever undo the scars left behind? While the Aleuts' fight for their identity was shaped by colonization and war, the Koryaks faced a quieter struggle, modern policies slowly chipping away at their culture. Koryaks. The Koryak people have always lived closely with the land, guided by a deep respect for nature. In their society, leadership isn't about titles, it's about making decisions together. Families work as one, making choices that reflect the strength and unity of the group. However, there's one person whose influence goes beyond the family: the shaman. Through rituals and drumming, shamans connect with the spirit world, guiding the people with wisdom passed down through the ages. For the Koryak, nature isn't just something they use, it's sacred. In that category, one thing that this tribe holds really dear to them is an animal. For centuries, the Koryak have relied on reindeer for survival. The reindeer is their lifeline, and it provides them with food, clothing, tools, and transport. Nothing is wasted. From the meat to the hides, every part of the animal is used. They've learned to live with the changing seasons, building semi-underground homes to survive the cold winters and sturdy tents to stay cool in the summer. Along the coast, the Koryak crafted boats from wood and animal skins to catch fish and marine animals. When summer comes, women gather berries and roots, making the most of the short growing season to feed their people. However, over time, outside forces have made life harder. Soviet policies aimed at changing their way of life slowly caused the Koryak language and traditions to fade. The Koryak language, once central to their identity, started disappearing as Russians took over. In 2007, the Koryak Autonomous Okrug was merged with Kamchatka Krai, pushing the Koryak people to the edge, without political voice or representation. It's a shift that has raised real concerns about losing their culture and way of life. The Koryaks' bond with reindeer has shaped their survival. However, they're not the only Arctic people whose fate is tied to an animal. The Gwich'in people are bound to caribou in a way that's nothing short of magical. For them, caribou, vad as they call them, are not just something they hunt. They are the very pulse of their culture, identity, and survival. As Sarah James, a respected Gwich'in leader, powerfully puts it, caribou are not just what we eat. They are who we are. This sacred bond is woven through every story, every tradition, and every hunt. To better understand what Sarah means, let's rewind the clock a bit. For generations, the Gwich'in have relied on the caribou in every possible way. These animals were their source of life: food, clothing, shelter, tools. The hides became tents that shielded them from the unforgiving elements. Meanwhile, the fur transformed into bedding and clothing, and the bones were made into essential tools. For many years, the caribou didn't just survive alongside the Gwich'in, they were essential to it. Now, here's where it gets even deeper. The Gwich'in have creation myths that speak of a time when they and the caribou were one, literally inseparable. When they were separated, they vowed to forever honor the caribou, and that sacred bond still beats strong today. Every hunt is a reminder of that sacred connection, and every caribou they meet is a reminder of their ancient past. Fast forward to today, and the heart of Gwich'in life still beats with the migration of the porcupine caribou herd. The Gwich'in over time have become master trackers, understanding the caribou's every move, their migration patterns, and their habitats. They've passed down this knowledge for generations. However, it's more than just hunting. It's about respect, sustainability, and ensuring that these caribou will keep returning for generations to come. What's more, the Gwich'in are stepping up in ways that go beyond tradition. They're fighting for the caribou's future. When oil companies threatened the calving grounds of the porcupine caribou herd in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, the Gwich'in weren't just sitting back. They took a stand, fighting to protect not only the caribou, but the very foundation of their way of life. For the Gwich'in, this fight is personal. It's about standing up to the forces that threaten the delicate balance of the world they've always known. As environmental changes and external pressures weigh heavily on caribou populations, the Gwich'in people have stepped up as fierce protectors of these majestic animals. They've become vocal advocates, fighting to safeguard the porcupine caribou herd. This fight is more evident, particularly the caribou's crucial calving grounds, which the Gwich'in are fighting for in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, where oil drilling threatens to disrupt their delicate habitat. The Gwich'in Social and Cultural Institute plays a pivotal role in this battle. It seems as the Gwich'in fight to protect their sacred caribou, another tribe's survival hinges on a similar deep-rooted connection to the land. Evens and Evenks. The Evens and Evenks share a history that's as old as Siberia itself, born from ancient Tungusic-speaking tribes. This tribe first settled between Lake Baikal and the Amur River over 3,000 years ago, trading stories and traditions with the Yukagir people. However, When Russian explorers and Cossacks showed up in the 17th century, everything changed. A fur tax called yasak was slapped on them, forcing them to expand into new lands, taking their resources with them. This marked the beginning of a complex relationship between the indigenous people and the outside world. Fun fact, the Evenks, also descended from those Tungusic tribes, settled around the Sea of Okhotsk in northeastern Siberia. They didn't just passively accept Russian colonization, they resisted. However, by 1700 they too were subdued. These two groups, with their shared roots, have been fighting to maintain their way of life for centuries. Since those times, the Evenks were always on the move, using reindeer for transport and food. Their conical tents made from birch bark or reindeer hides were the perfect homes for a mobile lifestyle, while their diet of reindeer meat, fish, and game like elk and red deer kept them strong. The Evenks did the same, but on a smaller scale, reindeer herding, fishing, and using fish skins for clothing and shelter. At the heart of their society was a culture of sharing. When it was time for a hunt, everyone pitched in, ensuring no one went without. Leadership was found in the wisdom of the elders, including shamans, who were spiritual guides and healers. Did you know the word shaman itself comes from the Evenki language itself? The Evenki language, part of the Manchu-Tungusic family, ties these two groups to other indigenous peoples in Siberia. Even though the Evenks speak a similar language, their dialects have been shaped by their interactions with neighboring cultures. Sadly, these languages are disappearing fast as younger generations adopt Russian. Now, the Evenks and Evenks may have a deep connection to the land. However, the Yukagir take that bond to an entirely spiritual level. Yukagir. The Yukagir people are deeply connected to nature in a way that goes beyond just living with it. They live alongside it. Their spiritual beliefs blend shamanism and animism, creating a world where spirits fill every corner of the earth. From the fire crackling in the hearth to the soaring sun above, nothing is without meaning. At the very center of their belief system, though, stands a powerful sun deity, Pug. Think of it like this. Pugu isn't just a god, but the ultimate moral judge, making sure that the balance of the world remains intact. The Yukagir believe Pugu keeps watch over everything, overseeing how people behave, how they interact with one another, and how they respect the spirits of nature. However, it's not just about a single god for them. The Yukagir have a whole world of spirits that shape their lives. At the heart of this is the role of the shaman. Each Yukagir clan has an alma, a shaman who bridges the physical world with the spirit world. Imagine having someone who can speak directly to the spirits to heal the sick or protect the community from evil forces. That's the alma's power. After death, these shamans aren't just mourned, they're venerated as deities, with their remains carefully preserved as sacred relics by their clans. It's as if death isn't the end. It's the next chapter in their spiritual journey. Now, let's talk about animals. In Yukagir's belief, animals actually hold a special place for them. They're kin. Each species, from elk to reindeer, has its own spirit. Hunters have to follow specific unwritten rules to make sure they respect these spirits. Most importantly, hunters who adhere to these traditions are considered incredibly lucky. Rituals are central to the Yukagir's way of life, especially around hunting. There are strict taboos and customs to follow, making sure the balance of nature is never disturbed. It's a code that's been passed down through generations. It doesn't stop there, though. The respect the Yukagir has for nature is all-encompassing. They believe trees, too, have spirits. These tree brothers protect the Yukagir people, and they honor them through ceremonies. It's a worldview where every element of nature deserves respect, because everything has a soul. Keeping that in mind, it's not hard to understand why the Yukagir also believes dreams hold a power beyond imagination. They believe dreams aren't just fleeting thoughts, but glimpses into the future. In the unforgiving Siberian wilderness, the ability to foresee shifts in weather or life-altering events can mean the difference between survival and disaster. Shamans, the spiritual guides of the Yukagir, interpret these visions, offering wisdom that helps their people navigate seasonal changes, personal struggles, and the unknown. Over the years, despite the arrival of Russian Orthodox Christianity, many Yukagir still intertwine their ancient shamanic beliefs with Christian teachings, weaving a spiritual tapestry that blends the old with the new. This fusion allows them to preserve their heritage while embracing the evolving world around them. So what comes into this heritage? Many practices that the Yukagir have kept close to their traditions over the years. For example, tundra dwellers became skilled reindeer herders, while those in the forests relied on expert hunting and fishing. Their economy was built on the rhythms of the seasons, tracking reindeer and elk, fishing from canoes, and foraging for edible plants that sustained them through the brief summers. Yet what truly set the Yukagir apart was their adaptability. Before the 1920s, they had no metal tools, crafting everything, hunting gear, fishing equipment, even weapons, from wood, bone, and stone. Their homes reflected this ingenuity. In winter, they built sturdy wooden or bark dwellings to withstand the brutal cold, while in summer, they set up lightweight, portable shelters made of skins or leaves. This ability to adapt to one of the harshest climates on Earth was not just a skill. It was a way of life, passed down through generations. The Yukagir's deep spiritual connection to the land paints a vivid picture of life intertwined with nature's rhythms. However, the story doesn't end there. Further north, the Inuit carve their own path. Inuit. Imagine living in one of the harshest environments on Earth, the Arctic. For the Inuit, this frozen world isn't just a place to survive, it's home. Hunting is at the heart of their life, and they've mastered some incredible skills to thrive. Armed with harpoons to hunt sea creatures and bows and arrows for land animals, the Inuit have always known how to adapt. Their kayaks and larger umiaks, or boats, are built to navigate icy waters, showing just how in tune they are with their surroundings. However, for this tribe, it's not just about getting by. Take caribou, for example. The meat provides food, the hides are turned into clothing, and the fat is used to fuel oil lamps. Bones? They're carefully crafted into tools. Inuit clothing is another clever adaptation. Made from caribou or seal skin, their parkas and mukluks, which are special boots, keep them warm in freezing temperatures. They're not just functional either. Many of these garments are decorated with beautiful designs, telling the world about the wearer's identity. Language also plays a key role in preserving Inuit culture, too. Inuktitut, the language of the Inuit in Canada, carries stories, values, and ancient knowledge. It's the thread that connects generations. Let's not forget Inuit art either. Carved from materials like soapstone, walrus tusks, and bone, their artwork often depicts animals or scenes from daily life and holds deep spiritual meaning. Now, as far as day-to-day living is concerned, the Inuit have their own customs for surviving the harsh climate. In the winter, the Inuit build igloos from packed snow, creating an insulated shelter that keeps them warm even when the outside world is freezing. Come summer, they switch things up, living in tents or turf huts made from stones and driftwood, carefully positioned near hunting grounds or water sources. At the heart of Inuit life is the spirit of community. Cooperation is key, and families work together during hunts, sharing what they catch and ensuring everyone has enough. Parenting is about kindness, patience, and learning by observation rather than punishment. It's a way of life that's rooted in respect for one another and the world around them. However, as is the case with many other ancient tribes, modern challenges have put a strain on this traditional way of life. The move from a nomadic lifestyle to settled communities has affected food security. With fewer hunting opportunities, many Inuit now rely on store-bought food, which can be expensive and less nutritious than their traditional meals. Like many communities facing rapid change, social issues such as alcoholism, high suicide rates among youth, and mental health struggles have also surfaced. While the Inuit have mastered survival in one of the harshest climates on Earth, the Khanty and Mansi tribes in Siberia have found their own spiritual and cultural connections to nature. The Khanty and Mansi tribes. Deep in the heart of Siberia, two tribes, the Khanty and Mansi, share a unique and powerful spiritual connection with the bear. However, this isn't just any ordinary animal for them. The bear is seen as a powerful ancestor, a protector, and even the son of their supreme god, Torum. In their eyes, the bear is the embodiment of justice and strength, holding a sacred place in their culture and daily life. Hunting a bear for this tribe is also a highly spiritual experience. After a bear is hunted, the tribes honor its spirit in a grand ceremonial festival. Singing, dancing, and storytelling are all focused on celebrating the bear's vital role in their world. The bear's body is treated with the utmost respect. Its skin is adorned with ribbons and posed reverently inside the home. To an outsider, this may seem like an ordinary ritual. However, for these people, it's a way for the community to deal with the weight of killing the bear, to heal, and to reinforce their bond with nature. As far as family life is concerned, the Khanty and Mansi follow a system where traditions and family ties pass through the male line. This shapes everything from their social structure to the way their ceremonies are organized. While small rituals might happen at home, the bigger celebrations are a community affair, with special houses built to unite everyone and keep their culture alive. Speaking of culture, if there is one thing this tribe really holds sacred, it's their spiritual rituals. For them, every mask and costume tells a story that's centuries old. In their ceremonies, participants dress as characters from nature and their community, bringing traditions to life in a way that's both entertaining and deeply meaningful. At the center of it all are the shamans, spiritual guides who connect the human world to the spirit realm, showing just how intertwined their spirituality and everyday life really are. At the same time, this tribe is deeply connected to the land that they live on. The forests, rivers, and even the mighty tiger provide the resources they need to thrive. You see, the Khanty are believed to have emerged from the Arctic, while the Mani trace their roots to Finno-Ugric migrations, which add layers of history to their rich identity. These tribes are divided into clans, each with its own unique customs and territories that shift with the seasons, showing a deep respect for the ever-changing world around them. Today, efforts to preserve their culture are gaining momentum, with the Khanty Mansi Autonomous Oak Rug in Russia at the forefront. Exhibitions showcasing the tribe's artifacts help raise awareness, and growing federal recognition is empowering these indigenous people to preserve their heritage and secure their rights. As the Khanty and Mansi tribes navigate the vast Siberian landscapes, another indigenous group across the frozen terrains of Sapmi carries its own rich history. The Sami tribe. Nestled in the frozen landscapes of Sapmi, stretching across northern Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia's Kola Peninsula, the Sami tribe has thrived for thousands of years. This indigenous group has amazed researchers with its unique culture, honed through a blend of resilience, tradition, and an intimate understanding of their environment. To put into perspective how old this tribe is, the Sami's origins stretch back around 10,000 years, right after the last ice age, when early settlers began making their way across northern Europe. Over time, they shaped a culture that adapted seamlessly to the challenges of their cold, rugged land. For much of their history, the Sami survived through hunting, fishing, and foraging, learning to move with the seasons and respect nature's rhythms. However, by around 1500 CE, a significant shift took place. The Sami began domesticating reindeer, marking a new chapter in their way of life. Reindeer became the heart of Sami culture, shaping everything from food and clothing to rituals and identity. Today, reindeer herding remains a cornerstone of Sami culture, practiced by around 10,000 Sami people across Norway and Sweden. This animal is so sacred to the Sami tribe that they would use every part of it, from the meat to the hides. One traditional dish, bas, a hearty stew made from reindeer meat, potatoes, and carrots, showcases just how deeply the Samis' lives are intertwined with their reindeer herding practices. That's not all. The Sami have always moved with their herds along special routes, making sure their reindeer always have fresh grazing areas. This ancient tradition is protected by law in Norway and Sweden, keeping reindeer herding an exclusive Sami way of life. However, things haven't been easy for the Sami. Over the years, they've faced battles for their land and culture. In the 16th century, the expansion of Scandinavian states led to taxes and the loss of their land. Later, missionaries tried to convert the Sami to Christianity, threatening their traditional beliefs. Despite these struggles, the Sami have held on to their culture, preserving ancient practices that are still alive today. One of these consists of their vibrant music and art. Yupik, their unique form of singing, is one of Europe's oldest musical traditions. It's a soulful way to honor people, animals, or places, and it's an important part of Sami culture. When it comes to art, the Sami craft stunning duoji, handmade items like woven pieces, carved wood, and silver jewelry. This beautiful craftsmanship is not only practical, but also reflects their connection to nature and their history. The Samis' traditional clothing, the gakti, is just as striking, with colorful designs and silver accessories that show off their creativity and pride. Apart from that, this tribe, living in the cold Arctic regions of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia, has a fascinating culture rooted in nature and spiritual beliefs. Historically, they practiced animism, believing that nature was full of spirits. Sacred places like Siedi, special stones and trees, were believed to house these spirits, playing an important role in their rituals. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.